Back when I was thinking about what videos I was going to be making here at the beginning of 2025, I figured that right after I made my Best Comics of 2024 video, it'd be fun to look ahead at the year to come and talk about my most anticipated comics of 2025. Well, as you probably all know, I still have yet to make my Best Comics of 2024. Don't worry, it's coming. Might be in 2027, but it's coming. So I hadn't quite made it yet, and I thought, you know what? We're about halfway through the year. Why not do a check-in with the 5 comics that would have made that particular list and see where we're at with them and see how my comic sense was. So hey, I'm Bunkmaster B, and today we are going to be talking about where are my most anticipated comics of the year. And we're going to go ahead and start with a heavy hitter for me. This is New Gods for Evan Cagle and Ram V. This was a book that had one issue come out at the end of 2024. Wasn't enough for me to put it as a favorite of the year, but I loved that issue. This was coming off of Ram V and Evan Cagle's Dark Horse comic Dawnrunner, which I talked about in a video last year. And it was going to be looking at the New Gods, which is a property I like quite a bit, especially focusing on Big Barda and Mr. Miracle, sort of coming from the relationship that was set up in the Mr. Miracle comic by Mitch Gerards and Tom King. And yeah, this one has still been absolutely cooking. This is still one of my favorite books that's coming out right now. It will be one of my books of the year. And it's this perfect mismatch of the sort of big cosmic storytelling that you get from the New Gods, mixed with these very personal stories of Big Barda and Mr. Miracle on the road together. So once again, we see that New Genesis is under siege. We actually find out that Apocalypse has been defeated, and it's by an outside force that forces this threat. So we have the big things going on once again. You know, it always seems like the New Gods are dying, and this is sort of no exception, that there is a huge threat going on. All the while on Earth, there has been foretold that there will be a new god, which is foretold to bring about the end of the New Gods, and Highfather tasks Orion to come and destroy that child before it happens. But Orion is troubled by the being told to go kill a kid. So he tells Mr. Miracle, hey, I can't escape what I have to do, but I can give you a head start, and I need you to help this kid escape me. And it's big and cosmic, it's small and personal. It is just this wonderful mismatch of these things going on together. And especially cool is every issue we get a few pages that kind of tell sort of some of the bigger, greater cosmic story with artists that mostly don't look like Evan Cagle. If you're not familiar with his art, I'd say he's very much like a Dan Mora type, where he does sort of hyper, not realistic, but he's doing some very stylized characters, lots of lines, very fine details. Looks really cool. And then oftentimes you get some sort of smaller name artists. This particular one that I just held up had my guy Jesse Lonergan on it, who could not have a more different style. And it really sort of sets up the fact that this is a separate story that feeds all into the same thing. We've got prophecy going on. It's a head trip, but I'm loving this series. I can't wait to see where it goes. And every time this comes out, this is one of my top of the piles. So far, I'm 1 for 1. Keeping it with Jesse Lonergan, who I just mentioned in the last one, one of my most anticipated books of the year that has not yet come out is Jesse Lonergan's next graphic novel called Drome. It's out now. It slaps. Now, this is going to be a graphic novel that he is both writing and illustrating. And it actually has not come out officially yet at the time that I'm recording this. However, when I met Jesse at HeroesCon a few weeks ago, he actually had a published version of the graphic novel there with him. Said you can't buy it. He only has just the one, but you can pick it up and you can read it all the way through. And I got to read about half of it. And I was going pretty quickly, being on the convention floor, but I was in rapture. It is very much harkening back to kind of what he did with Hedra, for anyone that's familiar with that, where he's doing a lot of storytelling by the paneling and the art and using minimal dialogue to kind of work all the way through it. The story is being told by everything that's going through. It's going to be containing both sort of a big cosmic story where you get, the universe, you get the ethos, and then you get some very pulled in. And each chapter is arranged around a different color that that dictates the palette that's going along with it. Again, I kind of had to speed through this, so I can't say I fully know the story of this one, but I will say it had one of my favorite fight scenes that I have seen, this year. Very cool gladiatorial fight scene where he uses a lot of sort of shifting panel layouts, with double page splashes interspersed with lots of little panels that show the arc of the fight scene going through there, flipping back and forth between movement and impact. Really, really well done. I can't wait for this to go out. I've got a link in the description for if you want to check more of it out, where you can see both the preview of some of the pages that you've seen flash up here and where you can go to purchase it. So that one hasn't fully come out yet. I've only seen about half of it, so I can't make a judgment call, but from what I've read, I have loved. Next up, we're going to talk about something that has come out and actually has fully come out, and that is going to be Spectrum, coming up from Mad Cave Studios by Rick Quinn and Dave Chisholm. This was another book that had one issue come out at the very end of 2024, but if more had come out, I figured it probably would have made my best of list. Spoiler alert, this is going to be one that's going to be showing up on my best of 2025 list, wherever that happens. It's hard to sort of fully describe this particular book. The closest thing that I suppose I can say in a broad sense is this is my favorite W. Maxwell Prince miniseries that is not related to him at all. If you ever read Art Brut, it feels like the music version of that, the way the Art Brut was to art. Again, it's tough to sort of go into this without really sort of breaking it down. But the idea is that there are forces of music, just sort of like the grand sense of music, including our main character, Melody, who's reborn and sort of, not even necessarily reborn, but incarnated into different people throughout her life, and sort of is manifesting their lives, their visions, their memories, and everything like that, and is being put to stop by the force of Echo. As Melody is taken away, there's a group of ragtag individuals who are sort of connected to her in different ways and have been connected to her different incarnations throughout the years, who come together to try and help her and put a stop to Echo. It's weird, it is out there, and it is exactly the kind of book that I love seeing on stands. I got to meet both Rick and Dave when I went to Heroes Con, let them know how much I loved what they were doing. Dave's work in this particular on art is just some of the absolute best. Anyone who's read any of his stuff previously, whether that be his Miles Davis biography, Enter the Blue, anything like that, knows that Dave draws music like nobody else who's going out. I know that's a weird thing to say, but if you've read his stuff, he has a way of depicting music, this fully audio medium on the page, that just absolutely works. And in this, it completely does. All the while, Rick tells this weaving, weird storyline that's going through, and it all works together. One of my big pickups from the Heroes Convention show was an original page from this series, and not just that, my favorite page from the whole series. This is going to be getting, I believe, a trade paperback coming out shortly. And I've seen solicits. I don't know if it's fully been confirmed, but I've at least seen solicits that this series will be getting a deluxe hardcover in January of next year. If you like weird, if you like great art, if you like sort of time-spanning stories about forces working against each other, Spectrum is a book you need to be checking out. Next up, we're going to be talking about another graphic novel that has not actually come out yet. All we have to go on is the creator, Zoe Thorogood, so we assume it's good, and some of the stuff that she's shown on Instagram. So for those that don't know, Zoe Thorogood was the cartoonist, and primarily she does both writing and illustration of some of my favorite graphic novels of the last few years, including most notably, It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth, which was one of my books of the year of 2022 or 2023, whatever year that came out. But also did such books as The Impending Blindness of Billy Scott. She did the Hack/Back to School miniseries, which I rather enjoyed. She was the illustrator on the book Rain. She's done a lot of just really, really good things. Puts a lot of herself onto the page. Doesn't shy away from sort of tougher themes, especially with mental illness and sort of the fight going with that. And going into the year, the only thing that we knew is that she was working on a new graphic novel that should be finished at some point during this year. And honestly, that was enough for me. Since the passing of her brother through self-inflicted means, I don't know if this is the same one that she was working on or if she has switched. But she has recently shared the cover of her new graphic novel called "It Took My Brother." She shared that in a post, described it as a post-apocalyptic fantasy story that follows a young boy named Rat on a mission to commune with his dead brother to find the monster that killed him so he can get revenge. There's also a giant chicken. The world the story takes place in is very influenced by a lot of things me and James, her brother, both enjoyed. Fallout, Attack on Titan, Half-Life. So it's a little bit bizarre, but what else did you expect, honestly? That's going to be a very personal book to her. She clearly shared a very close relationship with her brother, and his passing, kind of was painful, as you would expect anything would be. And the sense that I get from the little that I've seen of this makes it seem like this book is going to be sort of her exploration of her own grief, but also celebrating his life, much in the same way that It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth was sort of exploring her own process of depression and grief and everything that she went through in making that. If we get anything that is even similar to what we had with that, that's going to be a home run for me and a really, really hard one to read. Either way, that's a day one buy for me, and I can't wait to check it out. But our last book that we're going to be talking about here is a book that has started to come out that hasn't finished up yet, and that is Mouse Guard, Dawn of the Black Axe. Now, as all of the mainline and main stories from Mouse Guard are, this is written by David Petersen, but for the first time in the series, he has actually handed a mainline, quote-unquote, canon title, art duties, off to someone other than himself. While David Petersen is still doing the colors, and apparently it's been a lot of work to go ahead and do that, he's actually being joined by Gabriel Rodriguez doing the line work on this one. What we get right here is kind of continuing from the last of the main Mouse Guard series, the Black Axe, which followed Kelena, the last Black Axe wielder, before passing it off to someone else. I'm going to avoid spoilers, even though that story is quite old at this point, just in case anyone hasn't seen it. This story tells the beginnings of the artifact known as the Black Axe, this very powerful weapon that allows mousekind to sort of stand up for themselves and helps defend them on creatures larger than themselves. This follows one of the earliest wielders of the Black Axe on a mission to eradicate a number of different snakes, which of course are deadly mouse predators in this world, that have been harming the mice that are there. All along the way, the wielder is being spoken to by this sort of ghost elk that's going there. But it's not just a straightforward revenge story. As it's going through, the mouse is starting to question why all of this is happening. Is he really making the world safer for mousekind, or is he just creating more violence and sadness and things that are all going on there? It could have been just as easy as a cool revenge story of a mouse going after some snakes for his fallen brethren, and there certainly is some of that. But it's more cerebral than that due to sort of the mouse looking inward as he is working through with this spectral elk. So far, there are 3 issues of this going forward. I don't know for certain, but I'm guessing based on all of the previous books, this is going to be a 6-issue series. It's interesting because the colors are provided by David Petersen. There is a very familiar art style that's going there, even though it is Gabriel Rodriguez that's been working on it. I'd kind of love to see that. Of course, David Petersen on art would be my preference, but it's a lot for him to go ahead and do that. When I talked to David Petersen at Heroes Con, he made it sound like he's probably not going to be taking on coloring duties for any of these in the future, which is a bummer. And it does sound like we're probably going to be getting some more of these style stories where he does the writing and hands off the art duties to others. Will we ever see him back on a main series? Maybe. When talking about it with him, it sounds like he wants to do sort of some more side stories, tell some more stories of Black Axe wielders before we catch back up with Saxon, Liam, and everyone that we're seeing in the main timeline. A little bit of a bummer to me. I've been waiting for a while to see the events that follow Winter 1152, so presumably Spring 1153. Sounds like it's still going to be a ways off, but as long as we're getting awesome stories like this has been so far. Hey guys, Future Bunk here. You can tell because of the different shirt and the fact that my hair's not really done. Since filming the original video, issue 3 of Dawn of the Black Axe did come out, and I did get a chance to read it. Turns out the series is only a 3 issue, so it actually wraps up with this particular issue right here. It's still a really fun series, and it's still great to get any type of sort of core world Mouse Guard stories, since we haven't really had a whole lot of them over the last few years, but I was incorrect. I thought this was going to be a 6-issue series, much like the standard stories that make up things fall 1152, winter, that kind of thing. It very much feels sort of like a dip into the Mouse Guard world as opposed to sort of like one of the true stories there. You do get the full scope of the Black Axe that this particular one follows into sort of one of the pivotal moments of his career, being the Black Axe. You do get to see the end of his life and him passing it on. I don't think that's really a spoiler because that's the whole point of the actual Black Axe legacy. I still really enjoyed it. Anytime we get a David Petersen penned Mouse Guard story, that's always cause for celebration for me. But it wasn't quite the full sort of return into that world, the full next story that I was hoping that it was going to be. Still a great book. Will probably still be one of my books of the year. And those have been 5 of the titles I was most anticipating coming into this year. Now, I cheated a little bit because anything that was sort of, wasn't from a creator I know and inherently trust, like Spectrum, I read an issue 1 back in 2024 and said, this rocks, I want to see this go further. Or came from a creative team like Rom V and Evan Cagle that I had trusted previously. We still have yet to see from Drome and from It Took My Brother if that bears out. But I have no doubt in those creative teams. And of the 3 projects that have been going on so far, those have all been phenomenal. So, hey, good job, me. I'm 3 for 3 and hope to go 5 for 5 on these. But I want to know, what were you most excited about going into 2025 for comics? Were there books that you were really anticipated, a new run from a creative team or a new project that was going there that you're still waiting on? Or has there been something that you've said, yep, that was exactly what I wanted it to be? Either way, I'd love to hear down below in the comments. But with that, I've been Bunkmaster B. You all have been amazing. And I got some snakes to go kill. See ya.